In the modern world, there still exists deep misunderstandings about the path to wealth. Many believe that to succeed and earn a lot of money, one must start with a large amount of capital or even resort to unethical tactics such as cheating or deception. However, the reality is far from these notions. The secret to true success does not lie in unethical actions, but rather in how individuals apply their intelligence, creativity, and ability to seize every opportunity wisely. The stories of successful people are proof that wealth does not necessarily have to begin with ideal conditions or wrongful actions. Instead, wealth and success come from perseverance, intelligence, and a spirit that continuously innovates, has a thirst for learning, and is unafraid of challenges. In today's video, we will take you on a journey to explore 7 wealth-building strategies that require no initial capital, which the wealthy have successfully used to build and grow their assets. These strategies are not just simple tricks. They are well-tested methods, meticulously refined and proven effective through years of real-world experience. You might wonder, how can one accumulate wealth without initial capital? That's precisely the key point we want to share with you. Before we dive into the details, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the Riches Unlocked channel so you won't miss out on our valuable videos. Now, let's get into the main content. 1. Learning how to split money. In a world filled with injustice and an ever-widening gap between the rich and the poor, the story of a poor man who struggles daily to make a living, yet still cannot escape the grip of poverty, has become a symbol of the unfairness of fate. Day after day, he witnesses the wealthy living in ease, unburdened by the worries of earning a living, while he toils relentlessly, only to face constant hunger. In a moment of despair, he pleaded before God, crying out for justice, believing that God had shown too much favor to the rich. With a smile full of compassion and understanding, God appeared before the poor man and asked him what he needed to feel that life was more fair. The poor man quickly responded, wishing that the rich would also have to endure the hardships he faced, working with their hands to earn a living. If this happened and the rich still remained wealthy, he would no longer complain. God nodded in agreement with the poor man's wish. He turned a wealthy man into a poor one and assigned each of them a coal mine to extract. Every day, they would dig coal and sell it to buy food. Within a month, they were required to clear the mine. Being accustomed to hard labor, the poor man quickly dug up a cart of coal and earned some money. He used that money to buy good food for his family to enjoy. On the other hand, the rich man, unaccustomed to heavy work, labored slowly and only managed to dig up a cart of coal by the end of the day, enough to buy a few buns. However, the rich man soon realized that he could not continue living this way. He began to think about how to improve his situation. Within a few days, the rich man hired 2 other poor men to help him dig coal. He not only paid them, but also used strategic thinking to expand his business operation. In the end, the rich man not only paid his workers well, but also earned many times more money than the poor man in the same period. He used this money to invest and grow his business, and before long, he became wealthy once again. The poor man stopped complaining, realizing that wealth does not come solely from hard work, but also from how one thinks and uses money to create more money. This story emphasizes an important lesson about financial freedom. Wealth does not come merely from luck or hard labor, but more importantly, from strategic thinking and the ability to use capital wisely to generate profit. When you know how to expand your thinking and seize opportunities, you can truly achieve financial freedom and build a prosperous life. 2. To get rich, you must learn to borrow money. Following is a story that reflects a microcosm of millions of business owners around the world, illustrating that no matter what field you are in, you can find yourself among them. Everyone starts with the same conditions and initial capital, but the final outcomes differ greatly. Success can be summed up in 2 words: mindset. There were 4 young men named A, B, C, and D, all determined to start a business and get rich. Each of them had 500 units of capital. A found the egg business very attractive, so he bought a hen for 500 units. A was diligent and meticulous, and every day the hen laid an egg, which could be sold for 5 units. Over the course of a year, A's income from selling eggs reached 1,825 units. B was also interested in the egg business. After some research, B decided to rent hens instead of buying them. He rented 5 hens at 100 units each for a year. B took care of them carefully, and his annual income from selling eggs reached 9,125 units. Although B did not own the hens, his annual income was 5 times that of A. This illustrates the importance of distinguishing between ownership costs and usage costs. C also pursued the egg business, but with a different strategy. He rented 5 hens and proposed to the egg buyers that he would sell them eggs at 4 units each, but with the condition that they had to pay in advance for the entire year. To ensure safety, C asked A and B to act as guarantors and sign a guarantee contract. The buyer agreed and paid C 7,300 units. With this money, C rented an additional 73 hens, and his annual income from selling eggs reached 133,225 units. Finally, D, seeing the success of A, B, and C, proposed to them that instead of working individually, they should invest their initial 500 units of capital with him to collaborate. He promised that he would not ask them to invest more, and that they would earn much more money than they were currently making. The 3 agreed, and D used 2,000 units to rent 20 hens. He then proposed to the buyer to prepay for the eggs for a year. He received 29,200 units and continued to expand, renting an additional 292 hens and beginning large-scale egg production. In 1 year, D earned 171,175 units. This story is a testament to the importance of having the right mindset, leveraging one's own value and integrating resources to create benefits for multiple parties as the key to success. The fundamental difference between people lies in vision and numerical acumen. The essence of a transaction is the exchange of value, and how to exploit one's value is the key factor. 3. Methods of business development and wealth generation. In the increasingly complex real estate market, the story of financial creativity among developers is no longer something unfamiliar. Notably, real estate developers have elevated the art of using capital unnecessarily to an impressive level, turning it into a bold business strategy. The most prominent example is Evergrande, one of the world's leading companies, which recently caused a stir in the market with a colossal debt of up to $2.4 trillion, figure equivalent to the GDP of an entire country like Taiwan over 2 years. Evergrande's growth was built on a risky business model, purchasing real estate and then using that same property as collateral to borrow from banks, thereby continuing to expand their acquisitions. Remarkably, throughout this process, Evergrande did not put up any direct cash. Instead, they used land as collateral, utilized borrowed funds to acquire more land and other assets, thereby revolving their debt. When unable to repay the debt, their solution was simply to file for bankruptcy, thus legally removing the financial burden from their shoulders. The story of homebuyers in Evergrande's projects is equally tragic. They not only lost their initial deposit, but also had to bear the total cost of purchasing the property along with interest, amounting to as much as $5 trillion. In cases of disputes, courts often prioritize protecting the banks, leaving homebuyers without ownership rights, and ultimately their homes could be auctioned off by the bank to recover the debt. It's not just homebuyers who suffer, but also the construction contractors. They advanced up to $1.25 trillion, buying materials and paying workers without being fully compensated. Material suppliers and workers had to share this financial burden, while Evergrande's value increased thanks to profits from banks and taxes collected by local governments. While major creditors can sleep soundly without worrying about personal debt, their story delivers a harsh lesson. One shouldn't fear uneducated thugs, but rather those in the financial sector. Real estate developers with deep financial strategies. Developers are applying a similar scenario across the world, making home buying a risky adventure that requires careful consideration. 4. How to sell a comb to a monk. The story of the 3 comb sellers teaches us that everything, even seemingly unnecessary items, can become useful if we know how to utilize them. A prime example is how the 3 salesmen managed to persuade a monk to buy a comb, even though they knew the monk had no hair to use it in the traditional way. The first salesman approached the monk with a simple offer. "Master, please buy a comb." When asked why he would need a comb when he had no hair, the salesman explained that a comb is not only for brushing hair, but can also be used to scratch the head, stimulating acupuncture points, bringing a sense of comfort and helping the mind stay alert, thereby aiding in deeper meditation. This made the monk think, and he eventually decided to buy a comb. The second salesman took a different approach, suggesting that the comb is not only a tool for physical and mental well-being, but also a symbol of reverence in religious ceremonies. He mentioned that when disciples use the comb to tidy themselves before worship, it not only shows respect to Buddha, but also reflects the monk's deep devotion and sincerity toward his faith. Convinced by this argument, the monk purchased a comb for each of his 10 disciples. Finally, the third salesman emphasized the social aspect of using the comb. He explained that although the monk had no hair, buying a comb to give to those who visit the temple would help them relieve stress, reflect deeply on life, and move closer to spiritual enlightenment. This not only demonstrates compassion and care for others, but also aligns with the monk's desire to save all beings. This reasoning persuaded the monk to buy a comb. This story illustrates that nothing in this world is useless. It's just that we haven't found the right way to use it yet. It also reminds us that every action, no matter how small, can yield significant results, depending on how we perceive and apply them in life. Indeed, business models like direct sales without inventory, real estate brokerage, or insurance are all examples that show how creativity and flexibility in business can open up great opportunities from things that seem impossible. 5. Spending 1,000 VNs to invite 100,000 people to a meal. During an important interview at a leading company, after the candidates had gone through rigorous tests and only 4 remained, the interviewer posed a seemingly impossible question. How can you use $1 to treat 100 people to a meal? This implied that with $1,000, you could treat 100,000 people to a meal. The first candidate, upon hearing the question, immediately felt it was an impossible task. He shook his head and straightforwardly replied that it was impossible to use $1,000 to treat 100,000 people to a meal because it was nonsensical. The interviewer didn't respond, merely shifting his gaze silently to the next candidate. The second candidate, after some thought, declared that the question was irrelevant to the job he was applying for and refused to answer. The interviewer still remained silent, only moving his gaze to the remaining 2 candidates, awaiting their responses. The third candidate, while pondering the question, proposed a theoretical solution: to use $1,000 to buy a large quantity of cheap grains and cook them into porridge. However, he also admitted that the practical feasibility of this idea was very low. Finally, the fourth candidate, with evident confidence, creatively stated that if 100,000 people were indeed gathered to eat, the event would attract significant attention. He explained that simply by promoting this information, many sponsors and advertisers would be willing to support, and it might even be possible to generate a profit from this opportunity without having to spend too much. In this interview, the interviewer's question, though seemingly impossible, was actually a test of the candidate's creativity and critical thinking. This question was not only meant to assess problem-solving skills, but also the ability to perceive and react to difficult situations in the workplace, a necessary skill for any position within the company. 6. The mindset of selling shovels. In 1847, a German named Liv Char discovered an unmissable business opportunity amidst the turbulent period of the gold rush. Initially, he made a living by selling canvas fabric, a material commonly used for making bags and tents. However, during this time, he realized that miners needed more durable clothing due to the harsh nature of their work, which caused their garments to wear out quickly. Recognizing this need, Liv created a type of pants made from canvas material, which was highly durable and resistant to wear and tear. This product quickly became popular among miners, and their widespread acceptance propelled Liv to establish a company specializing in the production of jeans, which later became a global phenomenon. Liv Char is hailed as the father of American jeans. During the same period, another individual named Miss chose a different path. Instead of prospecting for gold, he made money by selling shovels and other tools to the miners. This strategy not only provided him with his first source of income, but also allowed him to expand into the financial sector by establishing a bank dedicated to miners. In contrast to the fate of many gold seekers, while many even lost their lives in the pursuit, the first person to discover gold, Marshall, died in poverty. This story reminds us of an important business lesson. When a particular industry becomes hot, not everyone should jump into the race. Instead, consider providing supporting services or products. This is a way to avoid fierce competition and create more sustainable growth opportunities. For example, in the recent cryptocurrency boom, while many people made money, there were also many who suffered losses. However, those who certainly made money were the owners of cryptocurrency trading platforms. The case of Chang, the founder of Binance, who owned assets worth $90 billion in December 2023, is a vivid example of smartly making money by being at the industry's hotspot. 7. Learning to draw the ocean must involve the ability to change the order. Listen to this fascinating story. One day, a devoted father wanted to find a worthy bride for his son. When the father suggested the idea, the son hesitated and expressed his desire to find a life partner on his own. However, father cleverly introduced the girl as the daughter of a well-known businessman, which made the son immediately agree. The father then approached the businessman and told him that he had found a talented son-in-law. Initially, the businessman was hesitant, believing that his daughter was too young. But when he heard that the young man was the vice president of the World Bank, he thought for a moment and then nodded in agreement. The father's next meeting was with the president of the World Bank. He said that he wanted to introduce a new vice president. The president was initially reluctant, complaining that the bank already had too many vice presidents. However, when he heard that the young man could potentially be the son-in-law of a powerful figure like Bill Gates, he readily agreed. In the end, the father's son not only married the businessman's daughter, but also became the president of the World Bank. Although it is just a story, it brilliantly illustrates the significance of leverage in thinking. The key to leverage thinking lies in recognizing that what you want to achieve has already been accomplished by someone else. You just need to find them and learn what you need to do to get them to show you the way. The essence of this is to replicate the success of others. Consider the story of a young woman born after 1990, who, without spending a single penny, owned a mining operation worth $27 million and earned over $20 million annually. How did she do it? Upon learning about a mine being sold for $30 million due to a conflict among shareholders, she negotiated and agreed to purchase the mine for $27 million, requesting to pay only $1 million upfront as a deposit, with the remainder to be paid within 10 days. If she failed to pay the full amount within 10 days, the $1 million deposit would be non-refundable. The mine owner happily agreed. Next, this young woman approached quarry owners whose mining licenses had expired and were facing the risk of closure. She offered them to participate in her 4 new production lines, collecting a $7 million deposit for each line with a 4-year contract. During that period, the profits earned would be shared with them at 80%, and she would take only 20%. After 4 years, the deposit would be fully refunded. Initially, the quarry owners were hesitant, but she used a marketing strategy that created a sense of scarcity, informing them that there were 12 people bidding and giving them only 24 hours to transfer the money. Whoever paid first would get the contract. As a result, within 24 hours, she collected $28 million in deposits and then paid the remaining $26 million for the mine, leaving $2 million for operation. This is a prime example of integrating resources to build a platform where the owner doesn't have to do heavy lifting, but merely profits from others' operations. To change your life, you need to understand how to use leverage, utilizing the resources around you to restructure and maximize profit. Just now, we have shared 7 unique methods to make money without any capital that the wealthy often apply. Thank you for taking the time to watch the program until the end. We hope that the content shared in this video not only provided you with moments of entertainment, but also offered useful information that could give you new ideas to apply in your life and work. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the Riches Unlocked channel to support us in growing stronger. Please share this video on social media platforms so that your friends and family can also watch and learn these tips. We deeply appreciate every bit of your support and are committed to bringing you more quality content in the future. Wishing you a day full of energy and joy. We look forward to seeing you in our upcoming videos.